My name's Steve Aiken. I'm the founder of Intelligent Plant. And Intelligent Plant is a company based in Aberdeen. We've been working since 2006 on giving access to industrial data in the oil and gas industry, and more recently what I'm going to be talking about, which is in renewables. Our mission is to accelerate the deployment and adoption of key industrial data analytics for the benefit of the planet. Does anyone recognize this picture? Do you know where it is? If you know where it is, put your hand up. You recognize it, Gregor, yeah? Does anyone else recognize it? This is a key asset in the UK. It's Emac, the European Marine Energy Centre. And that's where the O2 Power Turbine is. It's the most powerful tidal turbine in the world. And we've got that annotated here with some of the things that are at the site. So you can see the subsea cables. We've got power and comms going out. There's an electrolyzer for hydrogen production. This is the connection to the grid. And they've got a substation, which is then able to take power and shift it about internally. Oh. There's also hydrogen storage, so they can actually generate hydrogen and store it at site. And there's a vanadium flow battery where they can store power for a longer period of time. So this allows the demonstration of new technologies and renewables in Scotland to be able to export them to other countries. It's a key asset. Now, Emac came to us and said, we need to be able to see what's going on with that turbine. We need to be able to show people what's happening with it. But at the moment, we need to take a boat out there to go figure out what's happening. And that's not ideal. Can you give us a solution that lets us see what's going on? And that's why there are these icons. On that tidal turbine, our software is installed. So software was built and made in Aberdeen and has been working in the oil industry, is now working in renewables. And it's been installed in the substation so they can see how they're moving power around. And it also happens to be installed on a vanadium flow battery. We'll get to that in a second. So the Orbital O2, this is 2 megawatts. So it's a bit smaller than the big wind turbines, but you can put a farm of these out into a tidal basin. And you can walk along this. That's roughly the size of it. So you can have about 2 people sideways on here. That's about the size. It looks like a spaceship, which is great. And the tide goes back and forth in Orkney in a reliable way every day. So it gives a reliable source of power. But in here, there are computers and control systems, just like oil and gas platforms. And on one of those computers is our software is installed. And it's that's gathering the data and allowing them to see what's happening with the turbine. And it's that they used to see what was happening with it each day. We got a great quote from Angel, who's the powertrain manager at Orbital, saying he was so happy, able to store the data for the future, understand what's going on. Effectively, this can actually inform design of future turbines and help them understand things that they can change. And this is the dashboard that they can pull up. Now, they can pull up anywhere. They can pull it up on their phone, they can pull it up on their tablet, they can even pull it up on their PC. And they can interrogate this data and look back over time. This screenshot was taken at a point that they actually went past the design capacity, and they're incredibly chuffed. So they posted on LinkedIn and said, wow, we've made more than 2 megawatts from a 2 megawatt turbine. And that was confirmed by the fact they had a live connection to be able to see the data and say that that had happened. Now, Orbital are using just 2 apps in the industrial app store that we provide, and that is PNID and Trend. So that's just the simple thing to be able to see the data and look back. There are a number of other things in there, but we'll get to that. Another client we're working with is called Invinity. Invinity make a thing called a vanadium flow battery. And that tends to be in a container. So you can see that red dot there. So they have a big container, and it's got 2 tanks. And those tanks have a reactor in the middle. And this is a different type of battery. So normal batteries, they degrade over time. You charge them up, discharge them, and slowly the capacity goes down. Eventually, it becomes not cost effective. You have to replace it and recycle the materials. These batteries don't have a lifetime. they don't reduce their capacity. It's a bit like a Dyson. So the capacity stays the same throughout the entire life of the battery. That means you can charge and discharge as hard as you like and not worry about breaking it. They've got installed locations all over the world. And all over the world, they're looking at those batteries using the software we made. It allows them to see how they're performing and understand if they need to get more batteries or if they need to send someone to site. Key thing is, it also helps them know if they don't need to send someone to site. So when someone phones up and says, I think there's a problem with the battery, they can look and go, actually, no, it's not, it's something else. And that helps save emissions and save power and save cost. That's a photo of the install they've got up at Emac. It's almost live, I think. And you can see they've installed them in a building. And here, they're paired with solar, and that's reducing the carbon emissions from a Scottish Water install by 40% by having solar panels and a battery, charging it up during the day when it's sunny, and then just running it off the batteries during the night. Again, they're able to tell how much charge they're putting in, how much they're getting out, if there's anything going wrong, because they can see the data and they can use it. And they stack these things. This is the biggest install of these type of batteries in the world. It's in the UK. It's in Oxford. And it's in partnership with an energy provider. I think it's E.ON. It's absolutely massive. Now, Invinity have gone to town. They're using all of these highlighted apps in the App Store on their data. They're really keen about getting the optimum performance out of what they've got. And it's really encouraging to see that. What's interesting, though, is the Invinity battery that's at Emac is connected, not because Emac connected it, it's connected because Invinity connected it. Two completely separate entities found the same software from a company in Aberdeen and used it to be able to see their data, and they happen to be at the same site. How does that happen? Well, I think it happens because it's a common problem, and they need to share the data too. And it's unusual to be able to share the data because so many people grab it and say it's theirs. But having that key differentiator to say, this is your data, you can do what you like with it, has meant that those two entities have separately, three in fact, when you think about Orbital, have separately said, yep, we're keen on that, we're going to use it. Now, it's quite interesting to think about this when we think about emissions. This is an uncompleted problem. And I'm going to leave that with that at the end. Well, have you looked at how we report CO2 in the industry? I mean, in any industry, from an office. I looked it up and I was kind of shocked. I expected that people would have to measure the CO2 and see how much CO2 they've made. It doesn't work like that at all. They just take random average figures, I say random average figures for an average thing, an average office, an average facility, and then they multiply them by factors to come out with an answer. These things are in multiple scopes, and in my mind, this is ripe for disturbing because it should really be based on what we actually make, what actual CO2 there is, so that people get real credit for everything they've done to reduce their emissions. Right now, they wouldn't because they're just based on averages. And I think that's a key thing that we should start applying this sort of technology to. If you're interested, please get in touch. My name's Steve Aiken. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn, and you'll find me easily. We post on LinkedIn in terms of about the company as well. You'll see the posts about the tidal turbine there. So if you search for intelligent plant, you'll find details about us there too. And we're happy to speak to anyone. We're actually trying to help other technology providers get their technology out too. So it's not just about operators sharing data with operators. We're keen to help operators share data with technology providers. So thank you for your time.